Welcome to Forever Exiled. I'm Justin, aka Tags.
And I'm Tyler, Wrecker of Days. This is the best.
Episode 217. That's why, right? Because it's episode 217.
That's right. That's a special episode.
It's a special
episode. Special feeling, Lloyd.
Yeah, it is. 217 of Forever Exileds that have been out there. Big shout out to our Patrons. Thanks everybody who subbed up this past week, and we love your faces. Patreon gets you access to After Dark.
Month.
This past during this
week.
Past week.
That's right. Sorry, I forgot Patreon changed.
And Patreon gets you access to After Dark. It's our podcast after the podcast where we just do more fun stuff, things and types of those stuff. And you get a card and maybe a fun surprise in December. You just never know what happens.
That's actually a really difficult thing. I've been watching lots of movies this past bit. I guess that's the value of having these 4-month leagues instead of 3-month leagues.
Mm-hmm.
And I need subtitles. When I watch shows in my own language, I really need them. And there's definitely some directors where I think they just depend on subtitles.
There's definitely sometimes where I feel like that too.
And I'm just like, you got to be kidding me. Like, can't even. Anyway, I hope, because we can't do subtitles, I hope people understood Justin's little Christmas mumble.
Yeah, just turn on subtitles to this podcast if not.
That's right.
Anyway, thanks everybody. We love your faces.
And thank you, Chris McGamer, for the celestial socks and the enamel pin. That was a wonderful surprise to get a notification.
That was really nice.
That we had some mail. That was very cool. I'm wearing some right now.
Sweet. Thank you so much.
Yes, very awesome. Nice. And
nice note too. Also, appreciate it.
Yes, wonderful note. Very, very kind. Very heartwarming. So we really appreciate it. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And a nice thank you to everyone else. Discord's starting to fill up. It's the end of year, and like sports channels have their like best of the year highlights and stuff like that. And podcast apps do their, review of this is, who you listen to the most, the genre you listen to, the specific, books or podcasts you listen to. And so we're getting a lot of pictures of people that have been listening to us lots, and it comes with a lot of nice praise and comments, and we can't thank you enough. It's been a lot of fun. A lot of fun, really, and we can't do it without you, but we have the coolest community on earth. So thank you so much for being who you guys are. And
if you're not in our Discord,
absolutely wonderful.
Get your ass in there. It is a ton of fun. Yeah.
Even if you don't do anything, like just join, and like we don't get anything out of it. So don't think we're like, I don't know.
We're paid per person that joins, so
yeah, that's right. No, like even if it's just there to lurk, like it is quite edifying. You get people that just care, that just help out. They're all nice. There's a few people that are pricks, but they're pricks on purpose, and it's just for a fun laugh. So
it's always a fun time. Everybody has a good time. Everybody's super helpful, which is nice. It was actually kind of cool looking through some of our stats for this year. We grew by 30% this year. We are listened to in over 60 countries. We're in the top 5% of podcasts worldwide. Like, I like that stuff, and that is all because of everybody listening. So thank you so much. 60 countries.
Definitely.
Are there even that many?
I know.
That's crazy.
There was like 5.
Yeah, really. I know land masses.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Actually, it's funny. My son taught me the other day that the continent of Australia is no longer called the continent of Australia. Like, obviously there's the country, but then there was the continent. When we were in school, that was the continent's name, but then there was also a country of the same continent. You know how like in the States.
Was it called?
Yeah.
Was it? Oh.
Now it's called Oceania. That happened in the last 30 years.
No, that's cool. I mean, it's in the middle of an ocean.
Well, so are we, kind of.
We're just way bigger.
Anyway, I just learned that, but it's kind of neat because we have some listeners like Nav has been posting some funny stuff today. Like when we get on patch notes are fantastic. It's just wonderful. Obviously, as a super nerd, even if I wasn't part of a community, patch notes are the best part of this game.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of, sort of. Obviously, playing it too, and theory crafting, but it's like Christmas. So our Discord, of course, because everyone else that likes the game that's in our community feels the same way as we do. And so it's just like, man, there's like a million messages on Discord, and it's so fun to go through. And all of a sudden I'm scrolling through, and then all of a sudden there's this one message where so Nav's going through our episodes from the very beginning, but is on like episode 100 and something right now. Right. Okay. So we still got 100 and something to go. And, you forget about some of the stuff that we used to do or say. And apparently there was a few episodes in a row where I would be asking Google to do something with the intention of screwing up whoever's driving. And so anyway, I asked Google for directions to a restaurant or like a fast food place, and they didn't have that where they live. And so then Google basically closed the navigation. The person had to stop, drive over, reset the navigation. And so
you're welcome.
I hope I didn't mess up your professional schedule, and I hope everything's okay. Good job pulling over, to fix that instead of just like driving through and. Anyway,
how's your week?
I had a good week.
Yeah,
I had a good week. So I let's see. I set up. There's this clock that I bought for the family last Christmas.
I saw your post.
It's like one of these. It's a clock.
Yeah, it's a puzzle.
But you
clock.
have to build it. But it's not like a puzzle. It's just like a legit clock. But then you get to build it yourself. So it comes with all these wooden pieces. It says it takes about 3 to 4 hours. Oh, it's a load of garbage. 3 to 4 hours to put together. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to buy it as like a family gift. I know nobody else is going to like it, but it'll be cool. Like if the family builds this together, then we have it on the wall later, for the rest of however long it lasts. And then, the kids will look at it and feel kind of cool about building it, even though they hated the entire experience. They won't remember that part. They'll just be like, yeah, I built that clock. So anyway, as the months go on after Christmas, last Christmas, the clock's not getting touched. But I don't want to build it. Nobody wants to build it. And it's like reading these instructions. How do you like build it together? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what I was thinking. Sure. And I can't do like finicky things. My brain's going to explode. I get nauseous. Like my concussion symptoms can't handle this kind of thing. My poor wife, she's like, Tyler, do you want me to do it? I'm like, no, I'll do it. It's my fault. Stupid $70 clock I should never spend money on. So anyway, I refused, personal rule of mine, to let that clock be unbuilt by the following Christmas. It had to be built by Christmas time. So I'm like, screw it. If I don't do it now, like things start picking up at Christmas, it gets busy. I'm going to get it done. Stupid clock. I swear, like it's cool. Amazing that somebody can like design this so that someone who knows nothing about clocks at all can build this functioning clock. Like it was astonishing how it fit together for sure. But it was so exact, and I get gears, like I get things have to be exact, but it was like so exact to the 10th of a millimeter that there were some pieces that I was so scared to push together. Like it
break or something.
I remember the first time I was playing Dark Souls, I had some rage quit moments, like when you're fighting the 4 kings and then you have to quit for a month because screw you 4 kings, right? In 2011. So I had some moments like that where like certain pieces aren't fitting together. I couldn't figure it out. Like I knew what needed to be done, but it wasn't working. Anyway, I ended up getting it done. The clock actually works. And there's this one part where there's like weights. You could have a pendulum that swings underneath it. And so, but you need a certain kind of weighting system for it. And they provide you with all that things except for the weights themselves. And so I build this like little container that looks all nice and fancy, but I have to load it with weights. And I'm like, oh man, the only thing that's like small that actually weighs heavier are coins. And I'm like, I'm not putting $20 in quarters in this thing. It already cost me $70. I'm not wasting another $20. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to try and find some gravel, like some heavier, smaller rocks and put them in. And I know different rocks have different weights, but I'm like, forget it. And so I'm like, where can I get some? And I couldn't think of anything. I walked all the way to Chris's house, to his driveway. It's like 8:30 at night. It's pitch black, right? And I'm like going through. I brought my wife's weigh scale that you can use for food, but she uses it for knitting to make sure she has a certain weight of yarn.
You're gonna get arrested for selling drugs.
I bring my dog and I'm going over and I'm like in front of Chris's house and I'm like picking up rocks and putting them on the weigh scale to try and get over 315 grams of gravel. Greg and Matthias both show up at different points and be like, what are you doing? Hey Ty, what you doing? I got caught twice
stealing rocks.
Like the 10-minute span I took. Yeah. And then it didn't even work because the rocks weren't heavy enough per their size. So I couldn't get the 300 grams I needed. So I didn't make the pendulum work. So it was all for nothing, but that was pretty fun. We also got our, unfortunately, but good news and bad news, because of course it costs thousands of dollars, but we had our roof inspected. I think I mentioned that a couple episodes ago. We had our roof inspected, just like, our basement flooded a few Novembers ago. So we're like, you know what, it would really suck now to flood from the top or have our roof leak. So just for like fun, but also to be careful. We checked our roof, and out of the 3 quotes we got, they were all like, your roof needs to be replaced. Like,
Right.
I'll be surprised if you last the winter. And I'm like, well, that's great timing, but, and I mean, if we got that idea from like one of our quotes, it could be like, okay, they're just trying to upsell us and actually get the quote figured out. But from all 3 people, we got that quote done. So we actually had to get our roof redone.
Is it done?
They had a cancellation. Yeah, they got it all done already. The whole porch on everything, and then they even replaced the decking on the back. The weird plastic roof we have over the deck in the back. And so, I mean, expensive, but we got it at a really good deal compared to everything else we were doing. We got the best company for the best price. It was perfect.
Yeah,
they had a cancellation,
awesome.
So they kind of rushed negotiations. But we have people that we trust that we confided in, and they're like, a fantastic deal, fantastic price. I would highly recommend them, all that kind of stuff. So it worked out, with the exception of actually needing it to get done. It worked out quite perfect. So, and then all that, you know how my daughter had pneumonia a couple of weeks ago? I mean, that's normal for the family. It sucks to go through, but she dealt with that. So she was home from school for 2 weeks. She finally went to school this past week, but guess what happened to my son? His seizures came back.
That sucks, man.
So I'm like, oh man, I thought to the point where I actually it's been so long that I'd actually forgotten that was an issue. Like, if my wife would come up to me like, hey, remember when Oliver used to have this? I'm like, oh yeah, man, that sucked. It started happening again. And oh man, that feeling, like,
yeah, it's awful.
When stuff happens to parents, like, it sucks. When things happen to adults, you feel like, you know, it sucks, but you're an adult. Like, they can make their own choices. They can figure themselves out. They can take care of themselves in most circumstances. Like, it just sucks for them, but life goes on. But when stuff happens to a kid,
yeah, it's brutal.
Oh man, like watching a kid not be able to control their jaw or their mouth or their hand, oh man, I can't handle it. I can't handle it. So
I'm with you.
And then when it's your own kid, like, let the world burn. I got to take care of this. So yeah, it was a week full of it was a big week. I need a chill week because Christmas is going to start soon, and that just gets busy. So yeah. And then my wife and I, we're good. We're totally fine, and they're like, everything's good, but some heavy stuff's been happening in life in adult land as well. And yeah, like, everything's fine. Everything's good. It's not like roller coasters and now everything's fine. It's just, you know, heavy news, heavy stuff in life. And yeah, so it's good.
That's good.
How about you, Justin? I'm not the only one here, and I just almost used up the whole episode. Patch notes episode. Full of roofing.
Patch notes, smatch notes.
Right? That's what I'll title the episode.
My week was good. It was really busy. It's a lead up into an awful week coming up. So this league launch, unfortunately, is terrible timing for me. But this week was it was fine. It was really busy. I went and got my haircut this week, and this is just whatever. I ended up getting a cut, but I always book my haircut like 3 or 4 weeks in advance. Like, when I get the haircut done, then I book the next one.
But don't you get haircuts every 2 weeks?
Not anymore. It's every month now. The guy that I got to do it, I really like how he cuts it. He cuts it short enough I can last the month most of the time. 3 to 4 weeks usually. Anyway, I'm scheduled to go there, and I live off my calendar. Everything's in there. So it's 10 o'clock appointment. No problem. I've got an 11:30 plan for after that. And I had stuff leading up to that. 9:15, I get a text message, because they send reminders, right? Like, you get a reminder from their system. He sends me a text message. I'm going to see if I can find his actual message, because it made me laugh. He said, hey man, sorry this is super last minute, but I just realized you don't have me on social media, so I guess you didn't see. And then he told me about an injury that he had. So he's out of commission for the next few months. So he's got a couple guys he can line me up with 10 o'clock today. And I was telling Christina this, because I messaged him back. I'm like, hey, that sucks. As long as it's not somebody who's brand new, like, that's fine. But I was telling Christina, I'm like, that's how I was supposed to know that you were out. Like, I don't follow you on social media. It just made me laugh, because he's young. Their whole store, their whole barbershop is young guys that cut hair. But that just made me laugh. Like, I was supposed to be notified via your social media post.
Just follow me on social.
I said to Christina, I'm like, I'm still not going to follow him, because that's not how I'm going to get my updates on my haircut. But yeah. Anyway.
Well, imagine if he's like opinionated or political and that kind of stuff too. Like, I try and follow Elden Ring on Twitter, and it is pointless. They are like the ultimate fluff. Like, it's just nothing. I only want to know when the DLC is coming.
Yeah.
And out of 1,000 tweets, I've been thankful for one.
Well, the fact is,
that's kind of what I would get. I mean, maybe your guy's only professional.
He might be, but
Who
honestly,
knows?
I still wouldn't see it anyway. I don't. Social media is not my go-to. I don't tend to, besides flicking through TikTok when I'm bored, I don't go on social media to get updates or see what's going on with people. So that was a little funny. We had our struggle this week. My daughter has been very secretive about what she wants from Santa, and so she didn't want anybody to know. This week she got her message back from Santa in the mail. She still wouldn't tell any of us. We had taken her to see Santa. She whispered to Santa, wouldn't tell us what it was she wants. It was quite funny. And she got her letter back today, or not today, sorry, this week from Santa, which she was really excited about. And then finally she filled us in on it because now she sent it off to Santa and she didn't tell anybody, and Santa sent her back this letter. And so she was very excited to get this letter. And then she finally told us that her wish for Christmas was for everybody to be happy. And I was like, all right, that's cute, but not helpful.
Put a price tag on it, lady, because we got stuff to wrap.
So Santa hopefully brings her whatever it is that she wants, but it was pretty funny. I also wanted to just quickly shout out, because I forgot to do it in the very beginning, but Vowels, thank you so much for the donation this week. I was just going through my stuff and I was just making sure we didn't miss anything, and I forgot about that. But thank you so much. That was very kind of you.
That was very kind. And
so we'll go out for dinner sometime, Ty, on Vowels.
Just the two of us.
Yeah. So thanks so much.
But that's, I guess, shout out to GG's wonderful gifting system.
Yeah.
They were attempting to gift something to us, and because they didn't know our social security number, health number, and how many different jobs and the addresses of our resume for the past 10 years, they had to succumb to a donation. Was difficult.
So
that's right. Kind of like what we're going to do. We're going to just start giving away Amazon gift cards for our private leagues.
That's right. We're just going to, it's cash leagues now.
That's
screw grinding their games and their gifting system.
Right. Maybe instead we'll take all proceeds and donate them to the internet service provider that GGG uses.
That's seriously. Come on, guys. You know what? Here's the thing.
They added another 700 of those reliquary keys that I think cost users $1,000. I am pretty sure that they are capable of upgrading their internet over there.
Yeah, I was thinking about it afterwards because I messaged you during the event and I was like, $1 billion company, $30 internet. But I mean, give them a bit of credit to add 3 people to it. And what I was thinking about afterwards too is I very much understand what that poor bastard that was behind the camera and computer was probably feeling when things were going poorly, and he or she is sweating and trying to figure out how to fix it and knowing that it's looking bad on them. So, but it was a little annoying.
It's still embarrassing.
It is a little embarrassing. But otherwise, my week, I think, was fine. It was just very, very busy. We've got a Christmas party tomorrow for our work, so I don't want to go to that. And then, next week is a freaking shit show for me. So, this league start, it's rec, so I can't even play. Obviously, I can't play Affliction because I'm not going to have the strongest league start.
Dude, I am stoked. Now, before we get into PoE, my lawn still looks better than yours. Thanks to Gross.
Yes, it does. But I now have all my Christmas stuff up. Oh, that I didn't mention that. So
good.
On one of the days that you were messaging me, there was a day you were messaging me about some audio stuff. That day was probably one of my worst days in a very long time because my wife was in emergency with our son the whole day. She got there at 8:15 a.m. and she arrived home at 9:45 p.m.
What happened?
They were slow as balls. And he got injured.
Your son.
He got injured. Well, it should never have taken that long. It was ridiculous. He got injured the day before at school. There were some things happened. We were a little bit worried about it that evening, and then the next morning it was still bad. And when I was trying to figure it out, I was like, he has to go into ER because we need to get this actually checked. But the problem for me is I couldn't do it that day. So we expected maybe 3 or 4 hours. I literally had to drive there to give her battery banks and chargers at a certain point because her phone was dying, and it was a joke, man. Like, just to see a doctor I don't think they finally saw a doctor till 5 p.m. They sat in a room from like 8:45 a.m. until about 5 p.m. before they finally saw a doctor. It was crazy. But anyway, so that day, to keep my girls busy and stuff, they were like, well, let's set up all the Christmas stuff outside. Horrible decision to do that with my girls. Horrible. They loved it. I was like, not having it. So, but yeah, so yes, your lawn does look better, but mine has Christmas stuff on it now. So that counts for something at least.
It does. We're not a decoration family. Inside, yes. Outside, no. Like when the seasons change, Halloween, all that kind of stuff, we don't know. But yeah. I think that's going to change. My kids they look quite envious at all the happy families with their decorations. And then they come back to our crappy looking house built in the 70s with a brand new roof. And they're not impressed.
Get some Christmas lights. Come on, Ty.
Yeah, no.
Anyway,
they would stay up all year.
Well, my Christmas lights do on the house.
Yeah, but yours are meant to look good that way.
Yeah, you can't see them when they're off. All right, can we get into PoE stuff now? It was a bit of a week.
We'll be able to get into patch notes really quick here. There were just a couple things that I quickly wanted to say. Remember, I had a post that kept getting deleted a few weeks ago. Yeah. I wrote a bug report with a suggestion. Originally, I didn't separate them, and then I got into this fiasco where they just kept deleting my posts, even if I kept reposting it.
I do remember
that.
So
anyway, I waited 2 weeks, reposted it, still there. It's just a glitch with their store about the watch list. That's it. Cool. It was great. Yep, did that. Oh, look, there's unsaved changes. Saved.
Nice.
All right, so what happened this week? Nothing major. Let's see. King Cat Noodle came out with part 2 of her ancestor lore. So that's awesome. GGG, keep posting her stuff. She does a fantastic job. I love that you support her. Very, very good. The November 2023 events have ended. And then basically everything else was just the small little hype, like mini trailers and stuff for Affliction.
Yep.
And Path of Exile 2. And then the patch notes. Path of Exile 2 is officially on Steam now. You can go, when you type in Path of Exile in Steam, there's Path of Exile and then Path of Exile 2. So you can add, even though it's free, you can add it to your wish list for the sake of notifications.
Cool.
And this was a very massive update that we're going to get into right away. I was surprised there was no manifesto. There was nothing that explained the reason. Like normally, like balance changes or anything like that, sometimes they have a manifesto, sometimes not. But this was like, there's some major changes that happened with this 2023 update. And I was just surprised. Don't really need it, I guess. But I was very surprised there was a manifesto. But yeah, maybe they don't need them anymore with how they do their Twitch events. Maybe manifestos are a thing of the past.
Yeah. So I assume we're going to get into patch notes. But first, let's just quickly cover the live stream. Is that cool? Can we do that first before we get into the patch notes? Because that kind of makes sense, right? Or did I miss anything?
Yeah, no, you're good. I think we can get right into it. It's just there was one thing I couldn't really figure out where to put this without forgetting about it. Like if once we get into patch notes, I'll end up forgetting about my notes and I'll just start running away with things. Corsic mentioned something about the support packs. And this was beforehand. Corsic from our Discord said that they're theorizing that the support packs that are going to come out, and they are delayed, which is quite interesting, until the league has actually come out. But Corsic is predicting, hoping, theorizing that these current support packs are going to come with beta access packages.
Yeah, I saw their message. I did reply to it.
And I think that's very interesting
in Discord. And I said that it's a cool idea, but I would be shocked if they did that because they will make boatloads more money selling the beta access separately.
Maybe. I mean, they could have two different kinds of selling points as well, right? Not necessarily just that. Because you're still
way
too
early,
right?
though, to try and sell a beta access for it. But yeah, it's a cool idea. Okay, cool. Live stream.
Let's get into it.
Live stream. So we watched the live stream. I watched most of the live stream, and
it was long this time.
It was too long. It was good. I mean, I don't know. I guess I was thinking about it this morning because I have mostly positive things. I have a few negative things to say, but also it's okay because this is just Tyler and I talking to each other on our own podcast, so we can say whatever we want. But there were a few takeaways from it that bothered me a little bit. One was it's on a Thursday for us. I think most everywhere else in the world, it's a Thursday or maybe Friday. It was really long in the middle of a work day for me, so it was a bit hard to watch all of it. And my only qualm, I don't know what the word is. I'm not sure. My only downside to it is same as last week when I said it. I actually don't want to hear much about PoE 2. I would have rather seen like a little trailer maybe like a 5-minute excitement hyped up about it. Not 20 minutes. Not going into detail about all the mercenary change into this weapon type and then can do this type of thing and then can change to this. And the WASD movement was really cool that they introduced and they talked about. The mercenary overview was cool, but after that I was like, I can't play it. You're showing me something that doesn't exist for me to touch. I want to see the things that I actually get to play. It took way too long to get to that part where I could actually see the affliction stuff.
It was. I was surprised that I shared that same sentiment. I was actually quite bored through the PoE 2 introduction there of the mercenary. Like, it's neat. Maybe it's because that kind of play style doesn't interest me, or like that weapon stuff. You know what I mean? I don't know. But whatever it was, like, it was a long time to just hear about it. And like you said, it's a long ways away. We know the company can change their mind 100 times since. And for some reason, it seemed very, it was way too long for what we got out of it. You know what I mean?
It would be different if it was a PO2 live stream. If it was like a live stream of updates of that's a little bit different if that was the focus of it. But this was a live stream for their new league that is the thing we actually get to play. And besides like updates on new stuff, like I said, the WASD movement is really cool. It's going to change the game up quite a bit, especially for, well, I think actually for a lot of builds, but the idea of being able to move backwards while casting forward is really nice to do. I know you can probably do that a little bit on controller. It sounds like you're going to be able to do it even better on controller now with this way that it's going to work.
It is what controller has always been.
Yeah, but the way that they mentioned it, it sounded like it was going to be a little bit different. But regardless, I like that stuff's cool. I like that they're telling us about that new stuff, but that should have taken like 7 or 8 minutes. Sure. It was way too long to get into Affliction, which Affliction was the part that matters because that's what we get to play. PoE 2 excitement is great, get that hype up and stuff. I love that, but that's got to be way shorter. It was just too long for me.
Yeah. But PC Gamer had a thing, like my day was quite monopolized by this live stream, and it was fun. I mean, it was a lot, but it was fun because PC Gamer had they had this weird stream where it was like they were coming up with their 25 most anticipated games that are eventually going to come out. It wasn't like specific to 2024 or anything like that. GGG was on there. They were at number 9 with Path of Exile 2, but they knew exactly, like, the video that they had given to PC Gamer said, and later today we're going to have our live stream for information. So it was, they planned it quite nicely together. But there were some interesting things in the article there that they had.
I tried to read the article. It was PC Gamer. Come on, I know you got to make money, but good Lord, I couldn't scroll through your website without my phone being attacked by ads or your stream popping up and taking up half of the screen. So I just gave up. I didn't read it.
A couple quick quotes there from them. Mark Roberts, Mr. Roberts is also Neon, emphasized that where Path of Exile 2 is definitely going to be about obliterating screens full of monsters and having a lot of fun doing so. You don't have to worry about all the gameplay that they're currently showing is a lot slower paced. It is going to be a different style gameplay, but they're showing it so that you can see what's going on. The ability to obliterate screens is still going to exist in Path of Exile 2. So that's neat. And on what's his name? Jonathan also guaranteed this time. Now it's not like a hope, but now cross-platform is guaranteed.
Where did he guarantee that?
We're talking with Ziggy after the fact.
Okay.
Ziggy asked if cross-platform was a thing, and Jonathan was like, yes, definitely. Okay, and last time they mentioned it, it was like, I would love it to be. That's the hope for the future. That's for sure. So yeah, it was kind of neat. They also went through 20 seconds of each class at the very beginning of that. And that was actually quite neat. That was something that I was excited for. One thing that I'm not a fan of, but I get how advertising works, but they're kind of making each class look like you have to play them a certain way right now, like with all the different advertising they're doing. But I get you have to pick something for them to play and then add combinations. So I get that. It's not really a criticism, but it's really cool to see that they actually went through all of the classes for around 20 seconds and just showed some basics, some stuff that some of the ascendancies might focus on. And that was really cool. I really enjoyed seeing that.
Yeah, it was fine. It was cool. I think my problem, I don't know that it's fair. It's just how I felt during it, but I wanted to just get to Affliction. So it was tough because I was like, I get it. We've seen this like Yeah, but it is cool to see what they're working on and what's coming. But my most exciting part was the WASD, and also they did a boss fight that actually looked really cool. I'm trying to remember what it was though about the boss fight that I liked, but when I was watching the boss fight, I liked the bars at the top. I liked that it felt tough. Like it felt like there was actual,
Yep.
I'm not sure what, we saw it once before with that other boss where you had to like fire the arrows into it, but it just felt like it was mechanical. Like you actually had to do the fight, which was kind of cool.
Yeah, like they increased, one thing that they've emphasized a couple times just in general is that enemies are faster. And so that's something as a slow player that I hate, but it also provides the prospect, like in the Dark Souls boss fights that I like, where there's just moments where you have to run.
Mm-hmm.
There's moments that you need to just literally survive before you can even think about offense.
Yeah,
and that's something that Path of
attack.
Exile 1 does. Most fights do quite poorly now. And so I did quite enjoy that. It was neat to see even the stun bar. I was curious what it was, and I'm sorry, I forget who it was, but someone told me that it's the stun bar underneath the health bar that keeps going up. And I think that's a really cool visual effect. Shooting's a thing. Like they even referenced crossbows being
assault
guns,
rifles and
right. So what are your thoughts on just the gun prospect in PoE now that that's like basically official, and the idea of moving while shooting? Like I thought that was really neat how they were saying like there's certain skills, not necessarily just crossbow skills, but skills in the game where as you're casting them, attacking, whatever it is, you can actually move slowly while it's happening. I thought that was a cool idea. Neat.
I think when you combine that with the WASD, it will be interesting. I think the WASD is such a weird and interesting thing to see how it works, because you are taking away a couple buttons that you might normally have used for something else. But the ability to strafe as you're attacking is a very new thing to Path of Exile. The idea of like guns in general, I mean, we joked about it last week. I don't actually care though. I still think it's very weird to bring a spear to a gunfight, but in the end, it's not like the game's realistic. So that's fair. Like they can kind of do whatever they want with it. But yeah, I don't know. It'll be fun to see how they incorporate all of that. It's a little odd when you think though that the mercenary is completely locked into a weapon type, which
I don't think they are.
Well,
they emphasized later on. That's what I'm saying. Like their advertising makes it seem like it is, but they emphasized a lot in the interview after, like it's Path of Exile. You can do whatever you want with whoever you want. And they even like swap around keywords so that different classes can benefit from the same types of things. Yeah. But I hear you. I really hope that there still is the possibility of a lot of variety. That's the thing that terrifies me about having so many ascendancies, right? How do you keep it general without feeling forced to be a certain ascendancy for a certain skill or play style, right?
Yeah, it'll be cool to see. The one thing about the mercenary also, though, that I was like, this is probably not the class for me, is I feel like you need like probably 7 or 8 extra fingers to play it. Like it just seemed like so many different things to click, and you're changing what type of ammo are you using to what type of weapon are you using. I'm not into that swapping, clicking like crazy thing. So, but it looked cool. It just could have been about 5 minutes long.
I agree. One thing that I am excited for though, and this kind of stuff is just reminds me of it. Using a skill auto swaps your weapons. Remember, like you can assign certain skills to your weapons and then it auto swaps. And I think that's really neat. It was one thing, like this isn't my play style either. The ballistics thing isn't really my kind of thing, but it was neat seeing how different gameplay could be with something like we saw the druid, we saw the sorcerer, right? We've seen the mercenary, but even other aspects of the game, like the ability to shoot the ground for chill, how grenades interact differently with certain kinds of skills, warm-up skills. It was just neat to see that kind of difference. So even though it's not something that specifically interests me from a theory crafting perspective and play style, it does excite me for, man, okay, so how much have they changed some of the typical stuff too? Like for me, I'm thinking minions, but then there's like, Mark absolutely loves his Orabot. So how are they going to be relevant within the game? How are they still going to do their own offense? I don't know. So even though this play style wasn't
so much variation,
yes,
like there's so many different ways to play it, which is fun.
And the boss they showed was hilarious. I love the creepy laughing. Just the fact that it's like running around with scissors and creating, like they showed in their video, I think it was the video with PC Gamer, but they showed in the video somebody working on this really creepy, weird baby thing with a monster face, and then that ended up being the little minion in the boss fight. Yeah.
It didn't explode on death, so that was cool.
Yes, that's right. But it was also neat to hear, I think this happened the Ziggy interview after, but they're basically making all their skills from the ground up. Even the skills that they're trying to bring over, they would like to bring over from Path of Exile 1. They eventually end up getting completely remade anyway, just to better accommodate Path of Exile 2. So it's neat that no matter what it is, it seems like the skills are getting redesigned. So it was cool. And even though I wasn't really, Path of Exile 2 was the secondary announcement for me, it's really cool seeing how much, I mean, I'm sure Chris does too, but you could see it with Jonathan and Mark, how excited they are for all these little details. Like they're really enjoying, and they're very excited for Path of Exile 2. It's nice to see their passion and enjoyment in it for sure.
Yep, I agree. It was cool to see that.
Well, shall we get into Path of Exile 1?
So then they went into Affliction finally. One thing that was interesting actually is the lack of Chris in this live stream. Like he talked in the beginning, said he was going to be giving it to Jonathan for PoE 2, then giving it to Mark for the Affliction. Like, and then even in the interview afterwards, he was very sort of like background party, which is it's interesting. I feel like maybe there's a plan for him to take a bit of a step back, or maybe make them a bit more forefront, and not make it so it's always him that's the one talking or on camera. But he was very withdrawn from this one, which was fine. I think those other guys did a great job, but yeah,
maybe he was hungover because he seemed to be having a difficult time with the lights. He was
really?
Yeah, it looked like he was closing his eyes all the time.
Yeah, I don't know, but it was interesting to me that Mark was the one sort of running the show for the PoE 1 announcement. He did a great job.
To see them. Yeah, Mark, Jonathan, and Chris. I think it went great. One thing before we actually get into the gameplay, you know how they always use their default filter?
Oh yeah.
Okay,
you click on the link too.
Click on the link I have there, and
what link? Oh, what am I clicking on? Sorry. What am I?
Oh, sorry. So I have a description under the description for Path of Exile 1 in that card.
Okay.
Right at the top, I have a Twitch link.
Follow your notes. Yep, I see that.
So just click it. This? Yeah, and you'll see a big explosion of loot.
Yeah.
Okay. You didn't hear anything, did you? It was just bloop, a whole bunch of items that drop, right? A divine orb dropped in there.
Oh, really? I didn't notice that.
So go back and click on it again, and you'll see a divine orb drop, and it looks exactly the same and sounds exactly the same as a scroll of wisdom.
As it should.
And that's how is this like, and they're keeping their default filter for Path of Exile 2. I just it makes no sense. And we care about item weight. So first thing that I really noticed, now maybe it's a unique that I haven't seen, but that weapon, I was expecting them to talk about new base types. Maybe it's one of the new experimental base types that they revamped, but it was just a massive two-handed butcher cleaver that they used throughout the entire demo.
That's right. Yeah.
So maybe that's a unique, but that's one of my favorite weapons in the entire Dark Souls and Elden Ring franchise. It just scales of strength, no problem. But where's that weapon? That looks amazing. So I was expecting them to talk about like new base types or something, but maybe I think the only base types they really revamped are the experimental base types from Heist, because of how they made the changes to Heist.
Could be one of the new uniques, because there are some new uniques, right?
It could be. You want to just go through Affliction specifically?
Sure. It looks cool. It looks like Delve. That was my first thought. Was like, oh, it's Delve. Go into an area, walk through the darkness. That was my first feeling, was the Delve sort of style of it. It looks really cool. I love the fact that this thing's going to be at the beginning of each map. You go in, you do your thing, and then it buffs the rest of the map. Like, that's kind of fun. And
it's not time sensitive.
Yeah, which was really nice. I was thinking about you when they were talking about that. I like the fact that it's adding all these, these 3 new ascendancies. Those are going to, I haven't looked at them at all in the sense of, I've seen people posting pictures of what each individual ascendancy is. I haven't looked into that side of it. I've only seen what they showed on the teaser. So it's cool. I mean, it sounds like they're adding content that no matter what you're doing or how you're playing, you're going to want to be interacting with these different whisperers. I don't know, whatever the guys are that run everything down there.
Yep.
But yeah, it seems cool. It seems fun. Not sure I like the whole like replace, what are they called, tinctures, the things that replace your flasks. I'm not sure that I'd have to see it a little bit more to know. That's just more clicking. And
one thing I didn't catch, I think that's only with one of the 3 new ascendancies.
It is.
So I don't know if there's benefits to it or not. But one thing that they emphasized quite a lot, and I did like this, is that they have, like, you're not limited to your ascendancy that you choose. Like, we're talking the 3 temporals.
Right. Yeah,
you can swap at any time. Well, not any time. Whenever you go to, like, quote unquote anytime, whenever you go see another one of those NPCs, you can swap. You still have to earn it.
But what happens if you've already earned it, then you swap back? Do you get the past points that you've? Yeah, that was the only thing I was kind of curious about. I assume it just stays
the same. You'd probably have to use a scouring or 5 scouring to, actually remove those points. But
it's cool that you can swap between them, which is, I do like that.
It is, and it's
fun that you get it early. Like, you get the first 2 points in Act 2, like, so much sooner than when you get your actual ascendancy stuff.
Agreed.
But,
yeah, it's neat. They have a lot of cool variety. I mean, there was obviously people got excited about the different specter aspects because you can have like the Eldritch corpses there that you can raise as a specter, but there's a lot of other neat things. There's cursing. One thing that the game needs to keep permanently is the ability for users to create enemies, right? Like, they have one of the ascendancies here allows you to create enemies, so it really benefits your on-kill stuff.
Right.
Like right now, on kill is not good for any important boss fight. You know what I mean? It's a wasted investment if you cared about pinnacle content, unless you were just doing a pure mapper. So I love that. That kind of fixes that whole issue of the value of on kill effect, or it only being for a specific aspect of the game. So that's really cool. I mean, even having a customizable ascendancy where it's just like, talk about fixing the scion. Right? Like, now you don't have the scion going into PoE 2. You could have a class that's just pure customizable, completely random, right?
I feel like that's a good ascendancy towards late game. Like, as you collect more of those jewel things that you socket in and you find the ones that you like, then you eventually swap to that ascendancy. The one for the Spectre made me laugh because I know what would happen if I did it or you did it. We would be like, oh, save him for this awesome Spectre, and then accidentally remove our helmet or something.
And it's gone.
Spectre's gone.
Oh, it's so dumb. Yeah, I hear you. But even the wisps and what they do to your maps when you come back, sure, it makes it harder, which is content that I like, but it impacts things that every build can benefit from. Rarity, quantity, and currency.
Yep, all good.
Everybody likes that. I mean, I actually don't care about rarity turning into uniques. I just care about more rares, but still, that benefits everybody. And so I thought that was really cool as well. And everything's tradable.
Is the like, and then make all the dead bodies put out more crap on the ground. I was like, no, guys, if you can't fix off the original loot yet, I don't want more of the crap on my screen.
Yeah. But it does open chests.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Sure.
Because chests have that much value, right? Imagine using that and you're running around. What's the one level that just has an infinite amount of chests? Yeah. But everything's tradable too, for those that like to trade,
which is cool.
Yeah. So I am quite excited about that. I'm really curious where they're going with these extra ascendancies. Like, I thought they were actually changing some. When I first saw it, I thought, like, when I saw the Warlock, I'm like, they're not adding ascendancies to Path of Exile 1. Like, are they actually swapping out one of the ascendancies to a Warlock?
Bye-bye, Necro.
Or something. So
it's cool, though. It'll be fun. It's fun that it's adding something that interacts. I like that they're dumping Metamorph as well. And so that's sort of being taken over by this. It is funny. It's definitely, I feel like there is a bit more excitement towards Ultimatum than Affliction, but I like that they are not doing, like, with Affliction itself. We've talked about the idea of like taking you out of maps, and while this does take you out of maps, it has a direct impact on the map you run right after you're done,
and it's smooth and seamless too. You go in, you do the exact, like, it doesn't, you're not technically in a different environment. It's like Scourge in a way. It doesn't change anything. It doesn't take
you're in a different zone.
You're in a different zone. Technically, yes, but it's so seamless it doesn't matter. It's not like you're going to Heist or Delve where there's like massive downtime and it's a completely different selection and a different menu. It
is like Incursion, though, like, which we've talked about not liking, because which we'll have to see how it goes, but because with Delirium or some of these other ones where you activate it, or even Scourge, you were still within the same map. You are leaving the map in this case and going to a different map to clear out the forest in. But I just like that whatever you do there has a direct impact on the map you're about to run. I think that's really fun. And the fact that they're putting it at the very beginning of the map so you can't miss it and lose out on that,
True.
I think it's going to be fun.
I mean, to me, I guess when I keep complaining about not wanting to get taken out of the map, I don't mind the seamless stuff. Like Scourge was fine. And honestly, Incursion is fine too, except I don't like the shotgun damage and I don't like the timed stuff. The experience itself, I don't like, but the fact that I just click on a thing and it's like a strong box, but it just changes the map. So I don't know. I'm quite excited about this one. I think it's really well thought out. I hope it really releases well. I was not sad that Metamorph left, but I was sad that they didn't replace it with something that was bossy. Like, I'm glad Ultimatum's in. I
do agree. The problem is Metamorph was terrible for bossing. It wasn't good bossing.
It was so great to hear both Mark and John have the exact same complaints about Metamorph that I have.
Yeah.
You couldn't tell what was going on. You'd get one shot out of nowhere. It wasn't a fun experience. You didn't feel like you were actually bossing. You just felt like it was the luck of the draw based on your rolls.
I think Mark said it too, and it was true. While yes, you could pay attention to the individual monsters and the things are happening or whatever, you were just clicking the items that you wanted, the loot you wanted, and so you didn't always know what you were about to get.
Yeah, that's right. And so it's
plus
like
it brought back Ultimatum, which is awesome.
It is. And one thing that I was nice hearing Mark say was he actually really likes the idea of Metamorph. Like, he would love for it to come back. It just has to be completely different in how they apply it. Like, the idea of being able to build a boss and have a boss that you construct and then you fight and have like that massive single target value. He really liked that. He just didn't like how Metamorph was made. So the concept of it, but the concept of it could come back in a different way. But yeah, it's pretty awesome that they did replace it with Ultimatum. It's like the fans just like shoving their way into the game.
I forgot how much Ultimatum works. When I was looking through the patch notes that was talking about the new Atlas passives and the stuff, I forgot that there were these concepts of like stand in the rocks, or I actually completely forgot that there was goals to the Ultimatum to completing it. Like I complete that part. It was ritual to me, like, oh, hit the button and then just kill everything, but that's not always the case. Yeah, I forgot about that entirely.
It's funny, they were talking about why do you think everybody wanted Ultimatum back so much? And they're like, oh well, it's the do or die for the reward, and you know what I mean. And then there's like the cool mods and the different things that you can get. The rewards are really big, and they were coming up with all these issues.
That's not it.
No, it's the NPC sass.
It's sassy. Yeah, 100%.
It is 100% a completely derogatory. How could nobody in the live stream think of this or bring it up? That's right. You have an NPC that is a total dick, and people absolutely love it. I mean, all the rest is great too, of course, but they actually completely redid Ultimatum. They went through everything and changed it, including how often rare monsters spawn and how difficult they are, just for the sake of visual clarity. Mark was talking about how the old version, they would have like 9 rares show up out of nowhere and you had no idea where the danger point was. So it is nice that they're adding this kind of stuff to it. I'm glad they took the time to completely redo it, not just throw it in the way that it was, but make it work for today. And there's even the thoughtfulness of how the stash tabs work. The Metamorph stash tabs just completely converting into an Ultimatum tab.
Yeah, they said that there was like some Ultimatum type map or event, and I was like, don't remember what that was. Like, I don't remember Ultimatum at all, besides the Trial Master and the gambling, like picking and being like, can I do it? That's what I remember. Yeah. So that's cool. At least they thought about that, because when you get rid of something where there's a paid aspect to it in the sense of a stash tab, you got to be careful. Because as much as I would love to say, like, just do whatever you want, if you don't like it and it doesn't work, then you got to get rid of it. I know that sentiment is not shared by a lot of people that have paid money for those particular things. So
agreed. Yeah. And I think this is the first time that they've actually swapped what a div tab, or sorry, a paid tab
what a
needs to
paid
be.
tab does. I think so.
That's
too.
what Ziggy said, and I can't think of any reason why
sounds
that would
about
be
right.
incorrect. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So lots of other changes. Do you want to go through miscellaneous changes or go through some of the skills? Because skills, man, that was unexpected to see how skills are changing, but to have heists so directly changed from
gutted.
their ability to, yeah, I wonder if it's gutted. Like they went through and revamped the what are they called? I've already mentioned them, but the I guess I don't know, the weird rare classes and base types that they have, like the all, I forget what they're called. I use them all the time. I have to deal with them all the time in Filterland, but I forget what they're
alternate
called.
base type or whatever they're called.
Sure.
I can't think of it.
I mean, they had to revamp that. They revamped rewards. They tried to make heist a lot more tempting, but you know, a big motivation for a lot of people was the alternate quality gems.
Are those base types still only available in heist?
Yes.
Okay, so then there's definitely value to that side of it. It was really funny during the interview process. This is about as far as I got before I just had to leave because I had work to do. But when Mark talked about the fact that there was a new ring or amulet type that instead of it being the +1 prefix -1 suffix, it was now going to be plus the rare chance of getting a +3 prefix -3 suffix. But the best part about that was Jonathan's face,
right,
when he realized that they were actually doing that. Which is that is bananas. I hope those are crazy rare, but that would be the funnest thing to craft in the whole world.
Or to even get like 6 suffixes and no prefixes.
Yeah, either of them, whichever one.
It
that
would be hilarious.
So
Imagine
much
the
fun.
attributes you could get on that.
Yeah.
But yeah, Jonathan's face was hilarious. He looks over, but then he looks over at Chris, and Chris is like, I know. And then so Chris pipes up later. I know. And then they pipe up later, and Chris is like, Jonathan, that's the exact same face I made when he first came to me with the idea.
Yeah. So I do like that. But if they, that is true that those experimental base types, that's what they are.
Yes.
Those will still be in heist. So that does give it some value. I think the removing the gems though is monstrous. Like hopefully this makes up for that, because removing the gems from there is a very big deal. My personal opinion, I'm not sure I like this option better for the new gem system, just because I don't like lab.
I know.
And you're talking like Uber Lab for like for all the best versions of stuff. So then my head is going like, do I have to build a build now that's focused on being able to do lab efficiently, or do I just have to trade? Because a lot of it is not deterministic. A lot of it is just keep running it, throwing your stuff in there. And in my head too, I was going like, you bastards, you made me think we were getting away from the lab. I had this right at the beginning that's where we were going.
That's right. No, they showed the divine font at the beginning, and I was like, yes. And then they started like incorporating it, and I'm
this
like,
is where you'll live.
Right. I was like, oh man. And Ziggy brought that up too. He's like, a lot of people don't like lab. Like, why are you tying lab in to something that is?
What did they say? I must have missed that part.
No, they just said that it's because of the timing of lab. Like they wanted these options that the fonts provide to happen throughout the campaign as well. Like start off early, and the 3 checkpoints that happen within lab, or where labs are within the campaign, are roughly around where they wanted the options that the font now provides to show up. So it was just because of the timing of where labs are within the campaign that made them a good fit. So
yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. I love the idea of these new transfigured gems. I love the idea of, it does look fun. It looks cool. I actually really like them dumping head enchant, all this extra stuff.
Yes.
That is amazing. I love that. I don't like, it always bothered me that it was so many different things. And we've talked about this before, so many different things to try and like keep track of. So I like that they've built it all into a single system now.
Yeah, agreed.
Just not a super big fan of that it's tied to lab, but maybe it'll be fine.
Maybe. I mean, hopefully the trials, the goddesses, from the patch notes, it seems like they are going to drop more. I do hope they are dropping a lot more. It would be nice to have the option to run through and go through and do it, because you're not going to be guaranteed what you're looking for, right? It's going to be quite random. And one nice thing is when you go through and you put in your gem, right? I'm going to be putting in my zombies, see if I get the falling zombies, which actually doesn't interest me, but I'm excited to talk about it anyway. But, you know, you put in your gem. If you don't like what's offered, you can just take your gem out. Like, you're not screwing yourself over with, oh, shoot, I hope I get what I want. No, I didn't get it. Now my gem is screwed. Like, you're not getting that. But there's so many cool options too, right? Like all the different kinds of swapping options that there are. And one thing that I love that they did, they went through, it seemed like every single active skill in the game and a ton of different supports. And they really focused on the quality does. And big changes, huge changes, but they made them so that they're actually very valuable, and they took the multiplicative nature of the tree into effect, so it's not pointless. And so many of them were before. I mean, I have highlighted, I went and I was only going to like copy and paste maybe 2 or 3 skills that like really excited me and interested me, and all of a sudden I have 20. You know, that like there's many really, really cool.
Are you
ones.
actually going through that many? So I was just going to say one thing that was interesting now is they got rid of the sell your level 20 gem for a level 1 20%. So, which is interesting because I know a lot of people would level them doing that, but I mean, you can still level them and just vow them, I guess, and hope you get a 21. But then at that point it's vowed. So then you can't really, because if you wanted to turn it into a transfigured one. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. The quality stuff, I love the change. I love the changes to quality. I think it's such a great mix up to the game. Some of them I don't care about because they're just skills that I never cared about. Sure. The ones that made me laugh the most was the ones though that were like 0.1 to 0.2 meters. I was like, okay, cool. So instead of like where it changes, instead of like 10% increased area damage or 10% increased range, now it's a meter value. I was like, okay, I like it. There's still no reference. I don't know what
What's
to do
a
with
meter
that.
in the game.
Yeah. So it is cool though. I love what they've done with the quality stuff. There were a few that I really liked. My favorite out of all of them, I know it probably sounds silly, but is the auras. I love that they got rid of the auras just being area of effect, and now they have a benefit.
Right. You get basically every aura, like the purities, for example, they just gave them more resist.
Just more.
Perfect. That makes sense for everything. Absolutely everything. I love that they even went through some of the skills. Like, I mean, it looks like they looked at so many of the skills, but they actually really changed some of the skills, not just the quality too. Like, I'm going to start playing with Conversion Trap. I got to see how that works. They insisted on keeping that in the game. They made some change. They looked at Conversion Trap. They made some changes, and then they kept Conversion Trap in the game. So I'm like, all right, let's just throw that in there. So are there any skills you want to shout out? I know you're tight on time, but there's a couple that I'd like to shout out.
No, I think you can kind of go through you do your thing. I'm going to go back through mine. The fact is they almost all just got better. Like they all just made me care about quality more. The ones that I actually like to use, every single one was a better version of what it was, or more fun. Some of them confused me a little bit, but in general, most of them just made me, excited to see them. I know that if we don't mention anything about Cleave, will upset people, but I mean, Cleave's garbage, really. What is Cleave?
Well, Flame Dash added modifiers to spell damage now apply to the damage over time effect. Like, that's going to be a really strong skill. It was already strong offensively for the most part. Like, people could use that as some pretty decent damage. Now, I mean, goodness me. Throw that. I mean, I know people used to really like it with totems when it first got its decent damage buff. All the offering skills like Bone, Flesh, Spirit Offering, they now have increased effect instead of duration,
which is awesome.
Oh, it's huge, especially if you're the Necro and getting some of that back to yourself.
Oh, Essence Drain was the one that stood out to me.
Oh yeah, what about it?
Now regenerate percentage of the debuff damage's life instead of just increased chaos damage. Yeah, there were a couple actually that were like focused on you getting back life instead of what they did before, which I liked.
Frostbomb, unfortunately, was negative for me. It no longer reduces... Oh, was it energy shield recharge rate? Oh, shoot. Maybe... Because I use that Frostbomb for life regen. But hang on. Sorry, my mistake. My copy and paste only says energy shield.
It says the debuff no longer causes 75% reduced energy shield regen.
Oh, but it still causes life regen. Still reduces life regen. Oh, okay. Well, that's an interesting change to only remove energy shield and not life regen, but that's good. Herald of Agony got a nice buff. Herald of Agony now provides an extra 5 to maximum virulence with its quality. So that one's huge because that's already very strong. Incinerate got an extra 2 stages, and that's very strong. That's one of my favorite skills. Don't know why, but it is. We already talked about the purities. With zombies, maybe they heard me when my complaints about how like minions have multiple skills that the minions use, but the tags of those skills don't interact properly. I mean, they didn't make this change for any other minion skill, nothing this drastic, but zombies no longer have a slam. Now it's just smacking with their hands.
I mean, there's no AoE to them anymore.
Correct. So I'm really curious what the clear speed is going to be with zombies. Like
if you use like multi-strike or something else with them.
I don't know, because it's so hard to tell when you have minions and you have a very busy game. Like you don't know what's actually doing what in the game. It's just all of a sudden the screen is empty or suddenly it's not. So curious to see what this clear is going to be. But they also added up to 38% more minion life for the zombies, which is huge. Like we're not talking increased as the gem levels, which unfortunately it doesn't start at, they didn't increase the actual life at the beginning as far as we know. And that's when, you need them because you can't use them in the Merveille fight, not at all. But you get 38% more max life with zombies. That's it is a big deal. Good.
I think a lot of what I was realizing as I was reading through this, because I did like a lot of them. I thought they were great. But I was also realizing that a lot of this stuff has no benefit to you as you're leveling or even like lower early mapping, because especially now that you can't sell a level 20 to turn it into a 120, you just have to get GCPs like gem cutter prisms. That I don't know if there's other ways. There probably are other ways. Oh no, that you could add quality now with this new lab thing, with this new transfigured thing. So, but yeah, like none of this stuff really benefits you. Maybe that's one of the things that would actually be kind of nice. The first time you complete lab, to be able to add quality to one of your gems would actually be really nice if that was one of the options that you could get.
Yeah,
because they do make such a big difference. But in a lot of cases, I don't tend to have 2020 gems until quite a bit into the league.
I'm going to go through all my gems before the league is released and do the 2020 recipe on all the ones that are level 20 for all the skills that I like to use.
Standard.
Just do like a whole bunch of zombies that I already have at level 20, get them to level 120%. Well, there's also the stuff in Syndicate where you could add quality, but they did make some changes to Syndicate and I forget what they were. I forget if they impacted the ability to do quality to gems. So yeah, the zombies were interesting. They got rid of the slam. They added a crazy amount of more life and quality. I don't know. It's kind of weird. It only goes to up to 1, but at 20%,
0 to 1. So are you saying at 18 I get 1, or at
when
do I have to go all the way to 20
1?
for that?
So, but quality gives you an extra zombie. I was really surprised that they looked really hard at the zombie. They made all these changes, and they're like, yeah. The damage is fine. They hit like garbage and we're going to keep it there. So, but adding that 38% more life on top of already investing in life, they become insanely powerful for minion instability.
Well, you got one of the silliest transfiguration gems with the zombies too.
Right. The zombies actually falling from the sky, and they keep that more life. Right. So anything that's based on more life, like that all of a sudden, that's the new zombie skill. It's like it's turned into Firestorm.
I know which one I liked. Cast when damage taken. I did like the new quality for cast when damage taken.
What's it do?
Why am I not seeing it? Where did I see it? Is it called cast?
It's technically a support, so you're going to see it with the rest of the supports.
So am I doing this in a bad order?
No, I don't care.
Quality now causes. I forgot they did them in order. Quality now causes supported skills to require 0 to 10% reduced amount of damage taken to trigger instead of causing them to do 0 to 10% increased damage. I did like that.
That's an interesting one because I do the amount of damage I want to take for something to cast. I prioritize that over the level of the gem that I want. So I'm fine, for example, having a level 14 curse with the cast and damage taken because that's when I'm taking 1500 damage. So like in that case, I wouldn't want that quality. I would only want that quality if I wanted the max level gem, if I wanted things to be at level 20.
Yeah.
Like Molten Shell, for example, if you wanted that to be on a level 20, then having 20/20 cast and damage taken makes a lot of sense. But if you're concerned about how often your triggers are going off with the amount of mana that's consuming, then that could be a problem, right? But then you don't have to then you just don't quality it. So it is an interesting one.
Why would you not quality it? I don't understand.
Because it reduces the amount of damage you need to take.
That you have to take for it to go off.
But those triggers still cost you mana. So if you're concerned about how much mana you're costing, might not want it to go off very often.
I see what you're saying.
Like sometimes I'll have a level 1 Frost Bomb and a level 1 Purity of Fire, or sorry, Purifying Flame, right, for the Consecrated Ground, and then for the life regen, or negating life regen in enemies. I'll have those set to level 1, but I'll actually have them attached to a level, 11 cast and damage taken, because I don't actually want them going off all the time.
Yeah, see, for me, I use cast and damage taken much more defensively and just like for the molten shells or the things like that. So having this on there is awesome because it just means it's going to trigger more often. I like that.
Yeah, I think it's good because quality is something that's optional too, and that makes a lot of sense. And I really like that. It's very beneficial for the max level cast and damage taken. Righteous Fire is next on my list. Did you see the changes?
Yeah, it's not great. I mean, I'm talking about, the skill in general. It is not great when you're first leveling with that. To just no longer have the base damage per second, that hurts.
It does, but I think it's a very good choice. To me, Righteous Fire turned into a skill that was too easy. It used to be a skill where you needed to have a lot of investment.
Yeah, but it wasn't because of the skill that it was too easy. It was because of all the other stuff you could get on the tree that made it too easy.
I disagree. That when they added base damage, it made it very strong. Now it's very easy to maintain because of all the stuff they have on the tree. But now what they've done is they haven't changed, like, to change all that stuff that you can get on the tree changes every single build, not just Righteous Fire build. So you have to be very careful doing that. You can't really change that too much. But now they've made it so that Righteous Fire, you're stacking your life. Like, we're talking 70%. We're talking doubling the amount of damage you.
Yeah, but I wonder where that cutoff is, where they become better. How much life do I have to make it make up for that loss of 2,400 base fire damage? I'll bet you it's quite a bit.
I still think it was
your base.
Oh, maybe. I'm curious what numbers.
Righteous Fire becomes. You and I have talked about in the past that we don't like it when you especially don't like it when you get a skill that you can't use or is useless until way later. That is Righteous Fire now. Righteous Fire is not a useful skill early on anymore until you have well stacked your life. In addition to the regen and stuff, you just have to have so much life now to make that 70% make up for the loss of the base damage.
Well, if you are trying to get to that exact same point, but maybe GGG thought that the skill was too strong. And in my opinion, the skill was way too strong. To have a skill, yes, it requires the investment to sustain, but then a skill that you never need, it's always doing damage, always. To me, that should never be doing a lot of damage. You know what I mean? Like, while you're running away, it's doing damage. While you're moving around, it's doing damage. While you're trying to get safe, it's doing damage. Like, that
I think
always
that's fair
needs to be a small.
For me.
Maybe. But again, now the investment is way too easy. So
it's maybe too easy in the sense of that you can get access. But again, I don't think it's because of the skill. I think it's because of all the stuff you can get on the tree. It's the ability to get all your increases to fire resist, to get all your increases to life regen, that kind of stuff. I don't think it was because of the skill. So all I'm saying now is for Righteous Fire does not become useful anymore in the first, by Act 3 or 4. It's not really super safe or easy to run anymore because your damage it's just not going to make up for that flat damage. So it'll be interesting to see, but I feel like that, there's an increase to the 70% of your max life, which is obviously double, but I'm curious where that fine line is between sure, use the previous numbers from before, but at what in today's game right now, how much life would I have to make up for that loss in flat damage?
I'm curious how it'll be. I'm curious if it'll be more beneficial to invest in more life than it would be to invest in dot damage now that there is no base fire damage. I'm curious where the values of that investment will be. I like where they're going with it, though. I do think Righteous Fire needed some tweaking, so I think this is really a cool way to do it without screwing over other builds. I know other people don't care about this skill, but I do because I enjoy using it with my chief, with all the totem perks they have, along with my Righteous Fire build. But Searing Bond. Quality now provides +2 to the maximum number of totems. but it already lets you do 2. So does now all of a sudden Searing Bond give you 4 totems without needing to invest in multiple totems? It looks like it.
Well,
and if
at 20%, right? At 20%. So
what do you mean at
20% quality?
Yeah. That's right. But anyway, that's kind of neat because now all of a sudden Searing Bond, I mean, Searing Bond's was kind of stupid anyway because it had such a narrow line where, I mean, you wouldn't really pay attention to where the line is. You would just throw them down and run around and be safe, right? So now it gives you a little bit more opportunity for apathetic damage and just helping out. Golems as well, they all just basically got 20% more life, which is great because I think they should be one of those that non-minion invested builds should be capable of having around with them for the most part. Not necessarily immune, but there. And then the quality is amazing. Getting 20% increased buff effect. That's huge. That's huge. SRS there was a lot of wording to SRS, but it's all the same. It's just inherent now. They're just not putting like the inherent damage increase as it levels on the skill gem description. But the quality is really cool. Yeah. 30% chance to summon an extra minion.
Mm-hmm.
That's really cool.
Yep. Seriously, what's the skill? I'm drawing a mind blank. What's the one that
Unleash?
It casts like 3 or 4. Yeah. So you basically can get a 20% and cast Unleash once every 10 seconds. You're good.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. It'll be fun to see how it all works together. The Reaper got a lot more life as well, and the quality is really cool because normally so the quality now increases the Reaper's bleed chance up to 20%, and it's already at 50%. So now you're putting it at 70%, and a lot of the times Reaper builds they're quite dependent on the Abyssal Jewels to get that extra bleed chance for their minions. So now you just need a little less investment, and that's really nice. Gives you more opportunity to go elsewhere. Skeletons. I like skeletons, but it was weird that you only get +1 at a 20% gem. Again, it's like zombies. Where do you get that +1? Is it 10%, 12%, 20%? I don't know if gutted's the right word, but it was a gutted feeling to see that Vortex is no longer instant. It has a cooldown. I mean, that's the way it used to be when I really liked the skill. But it's interesting seeing that they got rid of Vortex as an instant skill. It's no longer left clickable.
It doesn't work with the Frostbolt projectiles anymore either, which is weird.
Yes, that's true. I think that makes sense. But yeah, it is.
It was a fun combination.
It was.
That's what I liked about it.
Yeah, and you had a wicked build with it too. You destroyed with that build.
What did they do? Did they up? Wait, they didn't even up damage. They just upped the early damage at gem level 1,
and it's a lot less
up to
at level 20.
Yikes! And then you get increased radius. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Instead of increased area of effect, maybe a buff. Not sure.
Maybe. Wave of Conviction's quite cool. I normally just use that as a damage buff for my Righteous Fire build, right? For the fire exposure. But now if you're actually using it as a primary skill, quality now provides damage penetration of the enemy's elemental resistances. So when you're actually using the skill, you get an extra 15% elemental penetration. And this one I quite like. Infernal Legion support, that's the one that kind of does like a quote-unquote righteous fire around your minions. It used to make minions so the quality would reduce the fire damage that the minions take. But I always thought that was weird because the whole reason I'm giving this to them isn't for the damage over time that they have, it's to kill them. I don't want them more resistant to fire. I want them less resistant to fire. The sooner they die, the better. So it was always funny to me that they took reduced fire damage from quality. So now it's just they deal more damage.
Did you like that they got rid of the damage on Calling and Fortify? I actually thought that the changes to both of those two were kind of cool.
I didn't actually notice those. Can you tell me what they said?
So Calling, instead of giving the supported skills 0 to 10% increased damage, you recover 0 to 2% of life when the enemy is called. And for Fortify, instead of dealing 0 to 10% increased attack damage, you have 0 to 20% increased fortification duration. And that makes sense to me because fortification is fortification and call is call. It was always weird. And we've talked about this before, that when you add it, you got to make sure you quality it in PoE because you are getting 10% increased damage. So I do like that those have been removed as damage bonuses.
The Calling Strike one's weird. Why would I get health back? Not like I'm complaining, and it's not like I have another thing. I just don't see the tie-in. The Fortify one ties in perfectly with it.
It's the same as anything else. Why would you get life back? If I throw essence drain at an enemy. How the hell am I getting life back from that? I mean, you could argue none of that stuff makes sense.
Sure.
But it's kind of cool with the cull to get life back. It's good for mapping, like when you're doing lots of stuff, because you are getting a decent amount of regen out of that.
Okay. Yeah. Life tap got a cool one. You get an extra 2 seconds at a 2020 gem of life tap duration now. Yeah. So that one's nice because that one can cost. Yeah, because especially when you level life tap up quite a bit, all the way to level 20, you got to spend a hefty amount of life to get that going, right? So it's nice. I think that's a good one. And then Meat Shield is even more defensive. Now minions from the supported skill take 5% less damage, but that's less damage in general. Normally it's just physical damage.
Yep.
Oh wait, well maybe it's not. I get that skill mixed up. But anyway, the quality for that one is 5% less damage. So anyway, there were obviously a ton. There's going to be a lot of people listening where they're like, why didn't you bring this up? And it's just, those are the ones that interested me. And I actually cut out a whole bunch that did interest me that I didn't copy and paste here. And I still ended up with that long list, but really cool. I love how they went through it. I can't imagine the amount of conversations and time that took to go through all the skills in the patch notes. It's crazy.
Yep.
So thank you, GGG, for that.
Skill gems now display radius in meters in the gem description, so that's kind of cool. Still want some reference, but that's okay. What else we got? Ascendancy changes, passive tree changes, Atlas passive tree changes. What do you got in any of those?
No, all the Atlas passive tree changes that I noticed it was like ultimatum.
Yeah.
And until I actually start experiencing ultimatum in the game again, like I know ultimatum is probably going to be the most invested in mechanic on the tree, but I'm not going to. I'm going to wait to see what it's like and get back into it. And then as I've experienced it a few times, then I'll be like, oh, that's what that node means. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Forbidden
unique
tomes
changes
are dropping a lot less now.
Yep, that's coming up next, item balance.
They also reduced the drop rate of the Hour of Divinity and the Gilded Chalice unique relics. Race course.
I saw people doing them too much.
I don't know.
Kind of weird.
Race course is still in the game, so that's rad.
That. It's all right, whatever. They did a ton of item balance changes. Whatever. They are what they are. What else?
I should point out the vendor recipe for getting a gem to 20%, dropping this gem down to level 1, but getting it to 20%. That still exists, but only on support gems.
Right.
Non-awakened support gems.
Non-awakened support gems. Yeah. Well, it's basically anything you can't transfigure, I think.
Excellent. Ring of the Goddesses apparently seem to be dropping more. Obviously anything to do with lab rewards. Oh no, sorry, that's not specific. This isn't obvious, but lab rewards can no longer be obtained from any other league content. So they're really making you lab. Well,
also some of those things don't exist anymore. A helmet dropping with an enchant doesn't exist anymore, which is what lab rewards were in a lot of things. So
Grand Heist rewards no longer differ based on type of blueprint area.
Just all the same. Which is good because the only reason most people are going to be in there is for the new experimental base types.
Right. And this one's nice because now you can use almost any NPC you want in your hideout, but control clicking on NPCs in the campaign that you can sell items to now bring up the sell interface.
I like that they added, this was already announced before, but the shift clicking in the middle of a trade, you can actually now shift click a stack, and which is awesome because that was always a pain in the butt.
It is awesome. I didn't put it in here because to me that was one of those comments where I'm like, wow, took a long time. Like to me, that's like
they announced it before the trailer, but it is cool that it's finally out.
And then
and get to see how many characters you have.
Yay! Now add that to guilds. I always thought this was a good idea and a good feature. I didn't realize it was a bug, and now I'm disappointed. But the one bug fix that I have in here, they fixed a bug where player minions would take no damage from roaming deatomization storms in the Cyrus Awakener of the World's boss fight. I thought it was great that they didn't take damage from those because minions are idiots. The fight is stupid, and half the time, like, you have no space and you have to get back there. Like, if I'm a zombie player, I got to get back if I died to that section, and they're all going to be dead by the time I get there.
Hopefully it's a like severely reduced amount, similar to what you have in, I don't know how it works, but in labs, it's definitely, they take way less bleed damage and trap damage than I do. I don't know what that calculation is, but hopefully it's the same thing, because it would suck to be running towards the Cyrus fight and you get there by yourself as a minion player. Like, well,
it's like in the cartoons where it's like, okay, guys, follow me. And then there's this awkward silence and they look behind them. Yeah, that's right. And it's just swords clanging on the ground and everybody's run away. Final thoughts? I mean, I'm kind of...
They had the Keurig League mods too, which are kind of meh to me, but...
Yeah, it's cool. Ultimatum costs 10.
Yeah.
And the others are all really good, so that'd be neat. I don't know. I'm super stoked. I think this is fantastic. Path of Exile 2 is still forever away. When it comes to Path of Exile 2, I actually care more about the quality of life stuff they're adding, less about, like, I'm still excited for the ascendancies, but I want to know what's getting better that's coming from Path of Exile 1. Like, you know, I want to see that HUD for the Animate Guardian. I want to see enemy stats in some sort of appendium in the game. I want to see the quality of life stuff that's for returning Path of Exile 1 players, not just what's new. You know what I mean?
Beta's in June or July?
One of the summer J's. I don't know.
Well, whatever the J is, the month before, that's when I want to start hearing about PoE 2.
Sure.
I don't want to hear about it until then. I know we're going to, and that's fine. They're going to do their teaser things, but it does not interest me. I want to see it closer to the date. This was a very exciting league trailer thing, whatever they do live stream, once they got to Affliction and start talking about all the new stuff with PoE 1. Loved it. The PoE 2 stuff's cool, but just get it down a little bit.
Unless you're going to show us how necromancy works with zombies. Hey, we need to see some spirit, man. We need to
30 seconds tops.
You
30
have
seconds.
Trigger skills use spirit. Auras use spirit. Zombies use spirit. Like, come on, let's show us some spirit.
The month before beta. Okay. Knock yourself out.
Can't wait.
No, I am very much looking forward to Affliction. I think this league is going to be so fun. I love all the changes that they've made to how you deal with the gems and the crafting side of it and just everything. I'm not a huge lab fan, but it is going to make me think now, do I want to have something that runs the lab efficiently so that I can just, you know, once I've built up a stash tab full of gems, I'm just going to go run lab for a day and just keep, you know, crafting onto those and see what happens. But I just love that they've gotten rid of all of the extra stuff and kind of tried to combine it into one single thing for the gems, which is, it's just really cool. So, and Affliction looks fun. Like the actual league mechanic looks fun. I'm excited to see these whispers and have some conversations with some NPCs and build out a whole new ascendancy type tree and play around with that. The freedom of switching between them is really nice. So yeah, I think the mapping experience is going to be a lot of fun in this league.
I agree. I am very excited, not just for the core changes, which is always what excites me the most, but the league itself does seem quite neat. It seems very tied into the possibility, or like they're getting information for PoE 2 with some of the ideas that they might have. Like this seems very much a PoE 2 conference league. You know what I mean? So I'm excited to try it out and see and experience it quite a lot, and then see what sticks in the future content that they make.
I really like that they didn't show us the boss either, especially if they're saying that the boss is going to be the progression of the quest, similar to like Sanctum. Because in Sanctum, you did see the boss at the end and you didn't always get to it, but you got to experience it. I was thankful that I didn't get to see the boss, and that's something that we'll get to either experience or find out through the community or something. I like that.
Agreed.
So yeah, I think it's going to be fun. I'm not going to get to play it very much when it first comes out, but after that weekend, I'll be playing a lot. So
cool. Yeah. Well, I will be playing lots. Slowly,
hopefully,
but lots.
Hopefully next week's episode we'll have played beforehand, but you never know. We might be recording before the league comes out. Unfortunately, it just depends this time. This will be we'll figure it out, but I'm excited. I think Affliction's going to be fun. Hopefully they're not running a boss kill event so we can do whatever we want with our private league, but the trade was fun this last time, and maybe trade's fun with this one with the new gems.
It really would be, wouldn't it? And then of course everything within the league itself within Affliction's tradable as well. So maybe we stick with trade.
It was kind of fun.
Well, let's do solo self-found trade.
You heard it here. All right, let's wrap this up. Forever Exiled, episode 217. I'm Justin, AK Tags.
I'm Tyler, Wrecker of Days.
Patrons, we will catch you in After Dark. Everybody else, we will see you next week after Affliction goes live. Hopefully enjoy your league launch. We got a website, foreverexiled.com. We're on Twitter, foreverexiled82. If you are not on our Discord, get in there, come say hi. Even if you've been listening, It's awesome how often people are like, I've been listening for years and I finally came in. Yeah, do it. Get in there. Come say hi. Hang out. Patrons, other ways to support the podcast. You'll find them down below as well as on our website. Love ya.
Love ya. Love ya, love ya. They're just fantastic, hey, Just?